Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson. As we well know, this week coming up, I think when the Saints are going to play the Washington Redskins, I believe, you have Drew Brees is within 200 yards of passing the great Peyton Manning in the most yards passing in the NFL. This should be no surprise to nobody. Uh, both passes are prolific. Drew Brees is extremely prolific, as we well know, and whatnot. So he's, I think, 200 yards short from that. So he's definitely going to get that, as well as Brees is closing in. He needs 4 touchdowns. He probably do all this, obliterate, and do all this Sunday, possibly versus the Skins, and finish and have 500 touchdowns for his career, and of course have that passing yardage record. And that's a great feat. I've always thought Drew Brees was a hell of a quarterback, top quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, period, in the story. And there's no argument about that over here. But although the day I found the article, I was just going through going online, looked at some stuff, and saw where this guy from Yahoo, I don't even remember the guy's name, I just read the article, and how he was basically breaking down how and why Drew Brees was better than Manning. I'm just like, hold your horses for a second, man. I'm like, I give Drew Brees his props. He's a Texas kid, so I, like everything about that. So it's like, so this guy is talking about what Brees did, this Brees did that. Brees is only 6 foot tall and stuff like that. Let's go, and I say, okay, let's just, because these are the types of things that I enjoy doing. Because so many times, guys, this reporters, guys that are, these commentators and whatnot. Again, like I said last night, just because these guys are on television and whatnot doesn't mean anything. Those guys are reporters and all this kind of stuff like that, and a lot of them do great in their job. But some things they say, they don't look deep enough. They don't look. They just look at what everybody gives them and say that's pretty much it. It's just you can't do that. You can't say, okay, that's it, and this is why. And he started giving all these reasons why Drew Brees was, and a lot of it, like I said, had to do with him being 6 foot tall, and he didn't work with a lot of great receivers. Peyton Manning had Reggie Wayne, he had Dallas Clark, he had Marvin Harrison, he had Edgerrin James, and all of this type of stuff. And I'm just like, man, I don't want to hear that. Drew Brees went in the second round, I think in 2001, went in the second round, the 32nd pick. Drew Brees wasn't even highly recruited coming out of high school. Drew Brees, he dropped because of his size and everything like that or whatever, this, that, and the other, for whatever reason and whatnot. I mean, probably because of his height and stuff like that. Drew, like I said, so let's just go ahead on and just do the facts in this thing right quick, and let's eliminate this, and I'll explain to you why Peyton Manning is going to edge out Drew Brees in this. And just be, and I'm not about talking about homers and all this other kind of stuff. Oh, people just do that. Say, no, be football analytics. That's what we're going to be dealing with right now. First and foremost, let's do this right now. Drew Brees is sitting on 71,740 yards and 496 touchdowns. This is what Brees is sitting on right now. Manning finished with 71,940 yards, 539 touchdowns. Okay. Now, having said that, this is what Drew Brees has done. In nine of the years, of the 17 years or so that he's been playing, in 9 of those years, right, Drew Brees have attempted 650 passes or more at least 9 times. That is throwing the ball an extreme amount of attempting passes. That's a lot. That's, like I said, at least 650 attempts in 9 years. That's right at half of his career. And a few of those were like 5 or 6 years in a row, 4 or 5 years in a row and whatnot. But he's done that 9 times in his career. Peyton Manning has did that twice in his career. Only 2 times he did that in his career. Let's go back to something else. And this is, and I'm going to probably use this for something that I'm going to leave this and I'm going to come back because these are the common denominators, and this is a perfect example of what's going to be the common denominator when you start having inflated stats, receiving stats, and yardage stats, passing stats, and whatnot, because you're playing in a league that allows you to throw the ball 42, 43 times a game, and you can just chunk it up there. You can't touch the receiver, can't touch the quarterback, so that's what we're dealing with right now. but the common denominator in every era is going to be wins and losses. Okay, so let's do this here. So then, and so you think about something, I've already mentioned this before. From 2014 to 2016, right? Those years, not Peyton Manning, Drew Brees went 21 and 26. Okay, he went 21 and 26, right? Drew Brees has 6 years where he's had a losing record. Any couple of them, there was 500, 8 and 8, few 8 and 8s, and all of that, and some 9 and 7s, right? So from 2014 to 2016, 21 and 26, Drew Brees averaged about 5,000 yards passing and about 35 touchdowns. He missed the playoffs 3 of those consecutive years, right? Regardless of all that, Drew Brees is a first ballot Hall of Famer. You know that it's no question about that. I'm never going to say he's not, because he is a great quarterback, hands down, right? Hands down. He missed the playoffs. Those 3 straight years and those 3 straight losing years at that, and whatnot. Peyton Manning has had a losing record 2 times in his career. His rookie year, and I think then later on around his 3rd or 4th year or whatever, he has a losing record. I think 6 and 10, and in his rookie year he went like 3 and 13. Growing pains of a first rounder. See, this is something that Colin Cowherd always talks about, is that the pressure is off. The pressure is not on a guy like Brees. Remember, Drew Brees was San Diego first. A lot of people don't remember that. Drew Brees won an AFC West title over there. And whatnot. But Drew Brees really didn't start making his bones until 2006 when he came to that of the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees, like I said, he was a second round, a 32nd pick. So it was really a lot of pressure on Drew Brees. Not only that, San Diego, after going into his 4th or 5th year, going to 2005, going to that year, San Diego did not want him. So it was a blessing. It was I remember watching that game. I think it might have been against Oakland. I can't remember who it was against. But that's when he hurt his shoulder, because it was already contract issues. Like, are they going to renew his contract? Contract? He's had a good year last year. They went to playoffs and whatnot, and then they was having a losing season in that 2005 season, a losing season. I think it was like 9-7. They wasn't losing 9-7 after the win in the West. And I think the ownership, because their ownership over there don't like to pay nobody anyway. Brees gets hurt in the shoulder. Said, perfect. Then we cutting him, getting rid of him, and that gave them room to go ahead on, because they'd already drafted Phillip Rivers, because they was not feeling Drew Brees. So Drew Brees goes to New Orleans, and as we all know, the rest is history. Drew Brees had no pressure on him at all, and anybody said that he was a quality quarterback. He just needed some good coaching or what have you and whatnot, and he got that with Sean Payton. And like I said, the rest is history. You follow what I'm saying? So it was no pressure. Manning comes out, aside from having a name, one of the top high school quarterbacks coming out in the college, and then the top quarterback, the first pick coming out in the 1998 draft. And he goes to the Indianapolis Colts, who hadn't done nothing in quite some time. Therefore, the pressure was already mounted on him, right? It's already mounted on him and whatnot. And we see basically what ended up happening with him and whatnot. One of the other knocks that a person gets all the time about Brees didn't hardly play with anybody. Brees only played with this. Peyton Manning played with all of these other different players, like I named them earlier, like was it Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, and whatnot, and all that. That's not his fault he got drafted there. He didn't look in the crystal ball and say he's going to end up having all these people when he got drafted in 1998. He didn't have that. You follow what I'm saying? Expectations on him was great. Expectation wasn't that great on Drew Brees at all. But let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to do this for fun. This is for all those guys, because it's so funny, because I saw what Nick Wright was talking to Chris Carter today, and I didn't even listen to the whole thing. I read a piece of it where he was sitting saying, well, Drew Brees doesn't get the respect or the notoriety. I'm like, dude's the first ballot Hall of Famer, point blank. He's won a Super Bowl, and he's threw for a ton of yards. He has the most 5,000 yards in a season. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this down to you real quick, right? Real quick, like. This is who Drew Brees has played with and whatnot. Marquise Golston was his go-to guy, who was a very solid receiver and who's played with him from 2006 to 2015. In the midst of that time, I think he had to have about 7 or 8 1,000-yard seasons. What else what else do you want him to have? He had that up until 2015. right? 2015. While he was in San Diego, guess who he played with and had 3 solid years with, especially the last 2. And they both went to the Pro Bowl. Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates played with him 3 years. Antonio Gates is an 8-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time All-Pro. He played with him. Okay, that's the first major person he played with. He also played with LaDainian Tomlinson for 4 or 5 years. For four or 5 years, he played with LaDainian Tomlinson. Okay, so let's get that out the way right now. Then, but see, his thing, what people miss is that he's played with some very great tight ends. I just set up some very good tight ends. I just met Antonio Gates, who's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. I thought he was going to retire, but he's still playing. But when it's done, he should be a first, no later than second ballot Hall of Famer. He leaves there. Then he ends up playing with Jeremy Shockey, who's a nice tight end. Jeremy Shockey. He played with Shockey. How many years did he play with Shockey? Played with Shockey about 2 or 3 years. He played with Shockey. Shockey's a 4-time Pro Bowler and 1-time All-Pro. And they won a Super Bowl together. They played 2 or 3 years together and whatnot. He had him. Shockey was a good tight end. These injuries and little off the field stuff here and there kind of hit Shockey, but Shockey was a solid tight end. Then he played with Jimmy Graham from 2011 to 2014, where Jimmy Graham was a 5-time Pro Bowler and 1-time All-Pro, and was probably considered one of the better tight ends in the league. Even right at the time when Gronk was making his noise, it was 1A, it was 1 and 1A and whatnot. But my man started getting them injuries and whatnot. So he's played with some of the top tier tight ends at that time. At pivotal points in their careers, and they all represented. So he didn't play with slouches. And I tell you about Marquise Colston. Then he played with Brandon Cooks for basically 3 years, who lit it up, played with him for 2 years and lit it up in 15 and 16. Okay, so he's played with Reggie Bush, had his time. He played with who else did he play with? What's the guy's name? Like I said Reggie Bush. And he's played with some very good players. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep saying that he didn't play with any good players. So what are you talking about? These guys acting like he played with scrubs, and he didn't. And you can't get mad at Peyton Manning because he played where he played and got drafted where he got, and then him having that. That's it. That's the bottom line. Next thing, you look up and that's the knock. The main knock on the reason why you won't get a lot of stuff from that of Drew Brees, or Drew Brees is going to be a Hall of Famer. My point is this: the difference where you're going to give the nod, I should say, to that of Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning missed a full 2011 season, and in that 2011 season, Matt Stafford threw for 5,038 yards. Drew Brees threw for 5,476 yards. I think this year he won Offensive Player of the Year. Tom Brady threw for 5,235 yards, and Peyton's brother Eli Manning threw for, I forget what he threw for, but he right at 4,933 yards. He was 67 yards short from 5,000 yards. What do you honestly think Peyton Manning would have did if he'd played in 2011? We already know what he would have did. He would have threw right up in there if he wasn't leading the pack. You follow what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Manning had 2 losing seasons. Drew Brees has had 6, and Drew Brees had 3 consecutive years where he lost. 7-9, 7-8, 7-8. That's 14, 15, and 16. And I've mentioned this before. He's had too many records where it's that 7-9, 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, 8-8, 7-8, 7-9. He's done that. You follow what I'm saying? So Brees really started making his bones in 2006. So that's the difference. That's the difference, and that's why Manning will get the nod and whatnot. Manning's missed the whole year. And like I said, again, Brees, and I'm just to reiterate to you guys, 650 attempts per year in a 9-year span. 9 times he attempted 650 passes. That is a lot. Manning only did that twice. So he's throwing at a more alarming, he's throwing at a way higher rate than what Manning was throwing. And then Manning missed a year. And then Manning has a better winning percentage. Manning come on, dude. It's not even fair to try to sit up there and do that. So that's who's going to get the nod. For those who want to sit up there and see why I said this, so it's not like Drew. So again, to reiterate, Drew Brees didn't play with no scrubs. He played with quality, great. He played with some very good players and whatnot. So that's my take on that. Because a lot of people are trying to compare. So say no, Manning's still in my eyes like the better quarterback. And but both of them are all-time greats. You really can't go. You can't lose on either one of them. You follow what I'm saying? So I just wanted to give y'all a little tidbit there about that for some of these guys who's running around. But like I said, Drew Brees gets a lot. But that's why Drew Brees has only been named the All-Pro first team one time. One time. I think he's won the NFL offensive player twice or whatever like that, but one time. And that's because, like I said, you look at those years and what he did, and this is a microcosm of what Brees does and how come and why he's not looked upon that, because in so many ways he would be considered, he throws for all those yards, but his team is not doing anything. And like I said, 14, 15, and 16, 5,000 yards and 35 touchdowns, but that's not getting no W's. He's sitting at the house. That's the difference. It's the wins and losses. All right, guys, check me out, Everything Football 62, 62 on YouTube, and check me out over on Twitter. Here at YouTube, leave some comments, subscribe to the page, hit the like, and check me out. I'll probably come up with a little bit of stuff tomorrow as well. You guys have a good one.